everybody. Guess who's back? Not technically. It's me, Yali. I am now Sailor Moon Knight. I'm in honor of Matt Brian McKnight. Who's not here. I'm here, but I'm not here, so don't tell anybody. Welcome to the is it Pan Ultimate or Pan? How do we say that word? It's the second to last episode of the Moon Knight series. I'm on several medications, guys. Bear with me. Today we have some of my favorite, like literally my favorite people on Earth are here to join us to talk about the 5th episode of Moon Knight. The Sorcerer Supreme himself, when he wears a hat, he's a wizard. We haven't seen the hat in a while. That's Joseph Davis. Joseph, say what's up.
Hi, I'm on no medication currently, but I am running on 3 hours of sleep and have been on my feet for the past 12. So
this is gonna be the panel. And our special guest is Danielle. She is part of the Super Pop and the Game Hers who are having their boot camp right now. Danielle, say what's up to peoples.
Hello, I'm so honored to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Sailor Moon Knight.
Thank you. I almost drew a moon over my head. I was gonna go full force, but I was like, Matt wouldn't commit like that, so I'm not going to either.
Well, if we're going with the Sailor Moon theme, can I be Fartimus?
Yes, you may be Fartimus.
Is that a real? Oh my gosh, I don't know Sailor Moon, but
Artemis. Artemis is one of the cats.
Yeah, do that.
So again, make sure you leave all your comments and thoughts in the chat below. The voice of God or the voice of Khonshu, shall I say, will send them to me and I'll read them out loud. Danielle, so this is your first time here, and this is like basically the second to last episode. Let me have you tell us, how have you enjoyed the series so far? Also, that's Caesar back there, guys, in case you're wondering.
Caesar's living his best life. How am I enjoying the whole series?
So up until this point, since you haven't been here with us.
It's fantastic. I think Oscar Isaac is so good in this role. Playing, I was reading this article where he said he played off of his brother, who doesn't look anything like him. I don't know if you've seen his brother. They do not look anything alike. Because I kind of expected, I was like, oh, do you have a twin, like a secret twin? He doesn't. But he's so good at switching, and I like how most of the time I don't have to hear the accent to know which is which. It's just like his facial expressions, like the aura is like Steven or Mark, and I just think that's so cool. So I'm loving it.
Oh goodness, we love Oscar Isaac over here. Joseph, I've been gone for a little bit, but catch me up. How have you liked the series so far?
It's fine. It is unfortunately to me the weakest of the DC live action, or DC, Jesus, come on, Joe. The Marvel live action show. It is the weakest.
That's a cat.
Yeah.
It is the weakest of the Marvel live action shows for me, but I still enjoy it. It's one of those, like, when asked like, how do you rate the MCU? I'm like, like the first Hulk movie is like my third from last favorite. I still really enjoy the first Hulk movie, but somewhere's got to be towards the bottom. But it's kind of the same thing with this. Like, I have enjoyed literally every other one of them because they felt coherent. With the exception of maybe like WandaVision, but WandaVision was so trippy and weird that the lack of coherency towards the beginning was still fine. It was entertaining. So it's fine. There's been highs and lows.
Definitely.
So interesting, because I feel like the Captain, what's it called? Yeah, the Captain America with the metal arm guy. That was
Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
That is my least favorite one.
That one probably would have been weaker for me if their chemistry wasn't so good.
There was a lot of sexual chemistry between the two of them, and we
just in general
we love that.
There's just in general, their back and forth is perfect. Like, Bucky and Sam have better chemistry than Steve and Bucky did, and as much as I love Steve, but their chemistry was so much better.
Jazz, if you're watching this, no offense to Steve, the love of your life. One of our coworkers loves Chris Evans to death, and we don't want to offend her.
I will say, though, on the flip of that, Oscar Isaac is one of the strongest leads of all these live action shows.
Absolutely. So this week's episode, we find ourselves kind of like the last shot of the previous episode, which is this beautiful, gorgeous, magnificent hippo who's just like, hey, what's up? And I couldn't be more in love with her.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure I'm gonna butcher her name, and I had like Siri pronounce it 18 times and I still don't know how to say Towerette or
I've heard Towette and Towetty.
Toweretti. Anyway, she's a beautiful hippo. She's like, hey, what's up? Because now Mark and Steve are separated. And she's like, hey, yeah, I'm here to take you, you know, the underworld, you know, this is a smooth ship ride. And they're like, you know, that's not really a good idea because we like kind of have like this important thing going on. And we also learn as she removes their hearts, which she is apparently not the greatest at, which I really found endearing. Like she's not the best at her job, but she still has it. Go ahead, Joseph.
I was gonna say, I have a question. Like, isn't this all Anubis's job?
She did mention that Anubis was going to kill her if he found out like she was not doing what she was supposed to do. So I think like maybe she's interning or something like this is her summer internship.
She's the intern.
This is her internship. And we learned that Steve and Mark's hearts are hollow. They're incomplete. So they need to reveal whatever they're hiding to each other to make their hearts full in order to be able to go to the field of reeds, which is actually in my background right here. It's from one of the pyramids, I can't remember. And so this episode really is about them having to reveal everything, essentially the truth, which is a lot of what we prior episodes have been trying to figure out what is actually the truth. Is this all in Steven's mind? Is this all in Mark's mind? Is it real or not real? And we get a lot of that answered. I'm just gonna flat out say that this episode reminded me of Legion. I'm not sure if any of you guys seen Legion before on FX. It follows one of Charles Xavier's many children, because that man got busy. And the first season was him in a mental institution, and you couldn't just tell what was real and what wasn't real. So that's what this reminded me of. And we get a lot of some of that going back and a lot of like mind flipping, like, are we here? Are we there? I found it easy to follow just because it was the same format as Legion. But I want to ask you guys, how are you able to like keep up with this episode, or were there times where it was a struggle for you? And Danielle, I'm gonna start with you first since you saw it not too long ago.
Oh yeah. I wasn't struggling at all. I kind of expected we were going to get to this point, and I was waiting for, I was telling my husband, I was just like, I wonder where like they separate and no longer can like coexist, because I think Khonshu said there are like little droplets throughout the series where it's just like, you told me he wasn't going to be a problem. And so to me, I was like, oh, it's very clear like who's the dominant personality and who's like the other identity that keeps Steven safe or keeps Mark safe. So I was waiting for that moment where you can kind of see like where they break and where they like split, and it was really satisfying to me at the end, or like it was like middle to the end. Like I felt like really good about that. I was like, yeah, this makes sense. Though the backstory of his mom was a lot. That was hard.
Joseph, how did you feel about the way this episode, I guess, was directed, the back and forth and the kind of incomplete deconstructed flow?
I have three things about this episode in general. First off, called it with the whole like it's a purgatory, it's the afterlife. This is just their brain translating it. I just love that she had that moment of like, I mean, I've never seen it translated to a psych ward, so that's a first.
Again, this is her summer internship. She does.
Yeah. Right. I mean, her hair looks great though. She's like killing it with that, you know, professional.
Look, she's just expanding her resume, and you know, respect the grind. What can I say?
Exactly.
But the two things that I really took away from this is I really kept getting thrown off when they would go back to Harrow or talking to Dr. Harrow. I'm like, okay, so what is really going on? Is this like, because they then established that like, yeah, this is this plane and those two are there and they're talking, and then it goes back to talking to Harrow. I'm like, is this like Mark's internal dialogue happening? And I didn't understand. That threw me off. But overall, in general, yeah, I picked up on what was going on. And then my thought on why their heart was still hollow is because there was a heart missing.
We talked about that before. There are 3 altars that we know of in the comics.
That's what I've been saying.
Yes.
Okay, well, obviously not to you, but like I've been saying to Clay.
Well, they even
here. I'm like, there's a third one. There has to be.
They even hinted at the end of the last episode, because there was another sarcophagus they didn't open,
right?
That they just left alone.
Right. There's a third one, and I've been waiting. I thought we were gonna get to see them now.
Yes,
because like this is the time.
I was disappointed that they didn't show the homie JL. They did not. But it was definitely it was for a lot. I know when I remember watching it, Danielle, we have like a group chat, so we kind of like pass our ideas back and forth. And I was pretty sure Joe was like, "I told you guys somewhere." Yeah. So what we find in this, basically in this episode, is kind of like the origin story of everything. We get to see that, like many suspected, that Mark Spector is the dominant personality, or he is the main person, and everything else are alters. We get to see why Steven was created, which was a very heartbreaking story, especially if you are a parent. Oh my, I was in full blown tears. Spoiler alerts, we are going to talk about it. So if you haven't seen it, either bounce, pause this, or you know the vibes. So Steven is kind of like, in a way, his way of dealing with his grief with his brother, who he feels he was the reason why he died. And mind you, Mark was a child, so really, as an adult, we can stand back and say, that's not his fault.
It was dumb kid stuff.
Yeah, but kids don't see things the same way. And we learned that his mother did not deal with the passing of her younger son well at all. Not that there's a right way to do it, but there definitely is a wrong way to do it. And she opted for the wrong way. How did you guys, I know you guys touched on it a little bit, but how did you feel just learning about the creation of Steven, where he comes from? I'll go with Joseph first, since he did mention a little bit about it in our group chat, and I thought that was a good perspective.
It's really heartbreaking when they finally get to it, because the whole premise of Steven was it doesn't matter what's going wrong, like Steven's not scared. And we see that in Steven now. Even though he's petrified and terrified, as soon as he has a moment to like compose and breathe, he's like, all right, I'm gonna go fist fight this thing. I'm bad at it, but I'm gonna do it. But I don't know, it's hard to wrap my head around that whole scene involving the creation of Steven, because it hurts, man. Like I granted, I never had like physically abusive childhood, but I had some problems when I was young. And yeah, it hurts to watch.
Daniel, how did you feel about learning the origins of Steven with a V?
How did I feel? I felt very sad. I'm still a little confused, and this I think is just my confusion of like dissociative identity disorder. Because even when we go back to the ship and you see the two of them like fighting together, I just think like you are the same person, and you, like Mark, you actually have all that knowledge that Steven does, and so it's like you are him, and so it's just amazing like what your mind can do. And then I also was just really, I'm totally all over the place. I was really upset with Steven and Mark's father that he didn't do more in that situation. Like you see the scene where his father says, "Don't leave, like I can't lose another son." Yeah. But like, what have you been doing between that death and then that moment? Absolutely. Clearly not enough. I mean, his mother has.
That's the part that got to me the most.
Yeah. She's an alcoholic. She's physically abusive. And of course he has to leave. I mean, honestly, if I were Mark's friend, I'd be like, good job.
Yeah. Very heartbreaking stuff. As I have experienced like having a physical abusive childhood, and just also being a parent and stuff, like it was really hard for me to watch, because as a mother I could say there's nothing my kid could do that would make me be like, you're the worst thing. Like it was just really hard to digest. But kudos to the actress for really going there, because I'm sure that wasn't an easy. She knows like her DMs are full of hate, and she knew that probably when she filmed the scene, like smoke was coming her way. So kudos to her.
Joffrey level,
absolutely. And what Danielle, speaking about Oscar Isaac's ability, when he did that scene like in the middle of the road, crying and like throwing down his yarmulke, I thought this man needs an Emmy. Like seriously. That is one thing Marvel knows how to do, is make an actor cry, like boo-hoo cry, to the point where we see it as art. So kudos to them. We also
I just have a fun fact. The actor that played Mark's father, this is not his first time in a Marvel property. He played a detective in Luke Cage. So just throwing it out there.
That show had hot people in it too. Y'all know what it is when I'm on here moderating. Let's not be surprised. So yeah, we learn how Steven was created. We also learn more about who Mark Spector is in the past. And it's, I guess no one would be surprised about what path he chose as an adult, which is to be, in the military and then to be a mercenary. But we also learned that he's not as ruthless as a killer as we think it is, which is why many of us believe there is a third alter who is the ruthless killer, because Mark is not that person. He remembers every single person that he murdered, and it bothers him. And we also learned that he didn't kill Layla's father. He actually tried to save all those people. So
that's what, I don't know. Can I just say my ideas about this? Like, I just feel like, yeah, I was like, I hope I don't spoil this for someone, but I just wonder, like, is that third alter the one that killed Layla's father? And then also, do we know who's Steven's talking to on the phone when he calls his mom?
That's who I want to know. Like, who is he talking? I think at a certain point, and maybe I might go back and like freeze from it, they kind of showed the phone when he went to pick it up, and it looked like he was like on somebody's timeline. Like, it wasn't like a phone call. Like, like.
I saw that too, and I was like, was that just like a movie mistake, or was he just imagining a
this
whole
is the Starbucks cup in the Game of Thrones, the final season?
I'm kind of wondering if it's been like I was under the impression early on when he was calling her that it was a voicemail situation, that he was leaving voicemails. But I'm not sure. Even then, I have no idea how that was set up. It could have also been something Mark set up to keep tabs on what Steven was doing.
Oh, while he's, not the in the light. That's a very good idea.
That is a good idea.
Because Mark's ex-military, obviously more than just like combat wise, he's got like spy knowledge and junk too. Right.
Sorry, keep going.
I was to say, and I'm pretty sure the third alter is the one that stabbed that kid in episode 2 or 3. No, episode 3.
Yeah.
That both Steven and Mark were like, "Why did you do that? I didn't do it. Why did you do it?"
That third guy did.
The third guy, it's Mr. Stabby.
I think the lady, it would be kind of like a fun, like full circle moment if the lady that Steven's talking to is like Layla's passport woman.
Just like that would be awesome.
Oh my gosh, she's adorable. Why?
Yeah,
come back. That would be a great show by itself. Like all the people she makes fake passports for. Like, because know it's mad people. Are you kidding me?
DC had a really good idea for a show back in the day. It's like the Damage Control or some sort of insurance agency in a world of superheroes. Like I don't know. I think
really fun.
I think a fun miniseries would be like some sort of bureaucratic show in a world of superheroes would be fun. Like the Department of Damage Control would be a pretty fun show if treated like a workplace comedy. Yes. I think would be fun.
Yeah. So we learn more about Mark. We learn the truth about Steven. And we also, like Joseph said, there's these moments where Mark kind of goes to this other place where we are to assume is our reality, or it just is another compartment of Mark's mind where he's dealing with Arthur Harrow. But the Arthur Harrow is not trying to talk to Mark. He's actually trying to talk to Steven, and which is a little bit surprising. Because at some point you want to know what is it that Arthur's trying to learn from Steven that he can't get from Mark. So what do you guys suspect is Arthur's motive? Danielle?
See, I thought that Arthur's whole thing, it was all in Mark's mind to like help him grapple with like being dead and everything. And he's just using people. So I'm not thinking that Harrow's been able to infiltrate the afterlife. I just don't. I think he's too busy killing people.
Yeah, I agree. Especially with a scene that happens later on. I completely agree with Danielle. I think also part of it is that's like a part of Steven's brain that just wants him to let go. Mm-hmm. So that's him trying to let go. And because we are our own worst enemies often.
Yes, very, very, very true. Like I said, this episode really tries to pound the pavement with it being like the almost last episode. So we have a scene where we're back with the most beautiful hippo who's just trying to get her resume up, Tariq. And she's doing her best to try to help them. She's like, look, Anubis is gonna kill me if I do this right now, but you got you got to figure it out. By the time the guys come back, she's like, look, time's up, you guys didn't do it. And we have like this really cool fight scene, which I was wondering, like, when are we gonna get a little something? Mm-hmm. And like Danielle mentioned, where we learned that Mark and Steven are the same person. Steven said, if he can fight, so can I. and then he proceeds to like beat the shit out of this whatever it is with a stick, and I'm just like slightly turned on but a little bit scared at the same time. So which also would prove, like as you're saying, like the same knowledge that Steven has, Mark must have it somewhere. And then we kind of get this this death scene, I want, because I'm not entirely sure that Steven would have eased gone. Where he kind of like turns to like a statue, you know, that moment in Pokemon, the first one where like Ash just goes. That was Steven with a V. So very a bit emotional. What did you guys think of, like, again, this episode had a lot, but it really didn't have a lot.
Yeah,
it was kind of like a balanced episode. But what did you guys think about, you know, the ending of this episode? Like, because it was climactic in a way, but it was also kind of anticlimactic, if I have to be honest. Like, I was like, oh, Steven's dead. Where is he? Like, I don't trust. If one thing Marvel teaches you is don't trust anything that they show you or tell you. Joseph, what did you think of the ending of the episode?
So I think we're gonna start like the next episode right at the ending, and then him get ripped out of the afterlife, because all it's gonna take is Khonshu to get freed, and Mark's probably gonna be fine. Fine-ish. What is fine for Mark?
What is fine?
With his fractured mind. Yeah.
But I think the other thing that we didn't really cover super quick is when at some point in the voyage, when they're talking on the deck of the ship, between them going back into the ship and arguing or figuring out their past, you start seeing souls falling from the sky, like in rapid pace, which is, I guess, supposed to be the hint that Harrow is started his shenanigans. And yeah, I don't know. I think Steven's probably gonna come back when Mark gets brought back too, because Steven's part of Mark.
Yeah, I think so too. And I like immediately I thought like, oh no, all of the Egyptian knowledge that Steven had. Right. What are we gonna do? Like, who's gonna tell us what we're looking at? You know, like that is pretty much his job.
Like a walking Wikipedia article.
Yeah,
seriously,
exposition the person.
I mean, it's really helpful. It's like, who is the hippo? Oh, the divine goddess of children and women. It's like, sure, thank you. So
why did you need a summer internship then? Like, what are you doing, man?
Again, padding the resume with extra skill sets.
Right. I mean, if you live forever, you gotta like.
Yeah, that's true. You need skills. You need skills.
So yeah, I don't think Steven's gone forever. I don't know though why like we had to like watch the whole like him turning to stone thing. Yeah, it was an anticlimactic thing. I'm like, all right, so now you're standing in the field, and it reminded me of Gladiator, like that scene, and I was like, oh, okay. But it was just over.
Yep.
We'll see you later, Steve.
Bye.
So I like I said, we have souls falling from the sky. We know that Khonshu is gonna, you know, bring Mark back up, and we're suspecting some sort of grand fight that's, you know, the big sky bomb in the sky, you know, the big light, all that's, you know, something's going down next week. But overall with this episode, I think my problem was, and that was as I was like looking back at the other episodes, I had the conclusion that if all I had was this episode and the next episode, I think I would have everything I need to know about this character. You know what I mean? Like, there's not, the other episodes felt like, I guess in anime terms, filler. Like, some of those things I didn't really need to have. Like, they were cool, but I don't know if I needed them. I mean, the episode where they had the council of all the, you know, the avatars. I was like, well, technically we really didn't need that, because
that's a good point.
We're not really interacting with them. Meeting Layla was awesome, you know, like, of course we love Layla, but like some of that stuff was just like not needed. And I'm wondering if, because of the death of one of the characters, I forget his name, and please forgive me, if that changed the way the show was supposed to be, or if they really just did not know what they were doing. But I just felt like in this episode, I got so much information that I did not have previously. Did I need the other episodes to really enjoy this? Of course, I like Oscar Isaac. He's hot. He was naked semi-naked in the one scene, and so I appreciate that. But did we need this series? Would this have? I think this would have worked better as a film, personally. So I wanted to ask you guys, how did you feel, you know, watching it? I know, Joseph, you said this is like not your favorite MCU show. So like with that, with that in mind, how do you see this?
So I agree with you technically, though by that same argument, you could almost make the exact same argument for WandaVision, because like the bulk of like everything we needed to know as to what was happening and the motivation and everything was like the last 2 to 3 episodes of that show. But the rest of the show was so good and interesting and weaved a really good narrative together that it made a really good show. I think Moon Knight could have been similar, and that's what they were trying to go for. But the difference is Moon Knight is a very challenging character to do correctly, because you got to approach like the mental health element of it, and then you approach the hyper violence element of it, and then like trying to thread that needle well is not easy to do, and respectful, because they obviously tried to be very respectful with everything going on in this show, with the all the different advisors and everyone involved in creating the show, both in the British and the Egyptian sides of it. But it's a challenging character to do right, and I think that's the problem we're seeing on screen, if that makes sense.
Danielle, what did you think? Do you feel like this could have worked as a series if it was a bit different? Would this work better as a movie? Did you need all the episodes? How do you feel?
After the first episode, I was really excited and I wanted more. So because of that feeling, I feel like it would have been a much more exciting movie to just get all the way through, like having to wait. And I'm also just impatient. I also don't know this character. Like I had no recollection, or like I have no reference point on like some of the other Marvel shows. So I didn't know about the mental health thing. Like I didn't know it was coming. I think there was a scene where one of the avatars says to Mark, like, "You're sick. Like, are you sick?" And he says yes. And I was just like, oh, like you really are? Because I also was like, is this a superpower? Because like this is also, a fantasy movie. So like I really wasn't sure if his alter was a superpower or like an actual like mental health issue. So I was I've enjoyed the journey, like, but yes, some of it was totally unnecessary. I did love Layla'S necklace though, that turned into a weapon.
Oh my god, we love.
I was like,
she needed to still have that with her. She still needs that with.
Yeah, like that was cool.
It's way better than Yelena's vest with pockets.
Oh my god.
That scene though, where they're at the like Arabian Night show with the horses.
Yes.
Kind of unnecessary.
Yeah. I mean,
like that whole thing. We really just got the knife necklace. Like that was it. So, I'm trying to think, like, how did that move the story along? I don't really think it did.
It gave us the map, which was the only other way to find the tomb. But they could have found that any other way. That's the problem. Like,
Khonshu could have just like decided to like keep breaking the rules as he's been and just said, "Yo, it's over here."
The joke has been that like they went and found a thing that basically could have been done with an app. Khonshu got in trouble by doing something that basically could have been done with an app.
Or just like a random girl you met at a bar, like, "What's your star chart? I could tell you right here. I know exactly what happened."
I was thinking that. I was like, I'm pretty sure like we have science that will help us with that question.
NASA will do it. You can do it on NASA's apps. I'm telling you.
All you gotta do is call the Avengers. They got PIM particles.
Exactly. It's just anything.
They literally traveled through time to save the day.
I was gonna
we could have done anything.
That reminds me of the Spider-Man where they're like, the Avengers, who are they? Are you an Avenger? Like I felt that's how I felt.
You like small Mark, you know the Avengers.
Yeah, you know.
But like in general, I don't know. I kind of feel like this show could have been more, and it does suffer from the fact that Moon Knight is kind of like pre-MCU Iron Man level of knowledge. Like really the only people that know him outside of Marvel's Batman, because that's kind of like the running joke is he's Marvel's Batman. And outside of like diehard fans, which the diehard fans know all up and down, the other element, and it's the big problem, and it's the same problem Batman runs into, is fans want usually one version of this character, and like some fans really want the like crime fighting, running through the rooftops, Dracula where's my flippin' money version.
Absolutely.
And others want the version that deals with his like various personalities, and like moonlights as a private eye, because Jake Lockley is a private eye slash cab driver / serial killer. So like that's the problem.
Padding the resume.
He's such a multifaceted character, and I think the other problem is going to lie on is are they going to use this character more? Like if this is a one-off, I think it's a waste of the time they spent doing it. And
yeah, we do know that Oscar Isaac, according to him, only signed on to do this one time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
far,
okay. That's what he says. Now, mind you, a lot of people in the MCU lie. Look at Andrew Garfield. They lie, so you never know. But and really, we have that last scene in Eternals that makes us believe that there is a Midnight Suns thing coming. Somewhere on the horizon, which is not a pun I intended. But so, and we diehard fans know that Moon Knight is a member of the Midnight Sun. So even then, this doesn't feel like the right setup for that, if that makes sense, or the right way to introduce this character for that particular setup.
Which, by the way, for those watching that don't know who those are, the Midnight Suns are kind of like the dark magic Avengers. Like they're a bunch of magic adjacent people that hunt magic related dangerous crap. And they're usually all very violent. Like it's not like the Avengers who are like nice guys that do violence sometimes. Like, no, it's like Blade, Black Knight, Moon Knight, Ghost Rider, and then some
twins.
Yeah, it's a bunch of people that do very bad things for good reasons.
Yeah, so to me this doesn't feel like the right setup for that either. So I'm kind of curious, as I don't know what their intentions are. You know what I mean? Like I think with WandaVision or Falcon and the Winter Soldier, even with Loki, like we can tell like what they're planning next with these characters.
Yeah.
Which is very obvious for some cases, like because we know WandaVision is going to be in Multiverse of Madness.
Right.
We know that they're doing another Captain America film. We know that Loki is like never going to not be in anything. So
that's all he's got.
Loki. He's Loki. So but with this show feels harder to see where it fits. And so I'm wondering if you guys feel like that was the intention, for it to be this so one-off that like if we never use it again, it's fine. But if we do use it again, then we'd have something to use. Like I don't know. Danielle, what do you think?
Well, so as someone who does not know this character at all, I found it really refreshing to have something that was completely unrelated to something else. Like with WandaVision, because my husband's a huge comic book person. So he was one of those people that like, I know what's happening. I know. And he's like connecting all the dots the whole time. I'm watching it just like, what's happening? And so now we both are watching this like, what's happening? And I think it's really fun to go through it and like have it completely disconnected from everything else. There isn't some like secret connection to, oh my gosh, I'm terrible at names right now. The guy with one eye, the eye patch dude.
Thor?
Like, huh?
Thor?
No.
Oh, Nick Fury.
Nick Fury. Yeah, Nick Fury. Thank you. So it's not like some secret connection to Nick Fury, and he's just going to show up there with his giant floating spaceship, or helicopter plane, tarmac thing. Like, it's not going to
expensive piece of equipment,
right?
Literal like, aircraft carrier.
Yeah, like it's kind of nice that that's not coming. Like, I really enjoy that, and I hope it's not a one and done, because I really like Oscar Isaac and I like just want more for him as a human. I'm like, just make all the movies and get all the money and be so successful. But I love how obscure this is for me as a viewer, that like I have no idea what would happen. Like if this guy like turns out to have a physical clone that's like from actual Egypt, I'd be like, okay, cool. Let's see where this goes.
Whatever they give him.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell me more.
What about you?
So I think that like Marvel is pretty good about, even if we're not getting something really big out of it, there's going to be something that they're going to use from it. So like, even if we don't get more Oscar Isaac as Moon Knight, like there's got to be something in this that is either setting up for or will be used later. Like everything about the MCU is like Chekhov's gun, the series.
Yeah, right.
Like freaking Abomination from the first Hulk movie showed back up in Shang-Chi. So like references will be used later, even if it's not a big deal. And with them introducing the idea of the Egyptian gods, I feel like that's going to be something that's going to be like a Doctor Strange related thing or a magic related thing.
We know in Thor, Love and Thunder, we're introducing ourselves to like Greek gods, which is maybe we're setting ourselves up for like a multi-god smackdown, Clash of the Titans,
a god showdown.
But we also do have a really fun reference this episode, which was, Tariq did mention that she has been to the ancestral planes, which is from Black Panther.
Yep.
So I was like, oh, okay, so she'd be around.
Because Bast and Khonshu
catch that.
Bast and Khonshu are not friends.
They're
like
not.
They are there's a whole arc, and I haven't read it, but I am aware of it. There's a whole arc where Khonshu just takes over the world. Like he manifests in reality, and he's like, you know what? My avatar is not doing it, so I'm just gonna take over the world and stop crime makers when they do the crime. And then like at some point, the only person that can take him down is like Mark, who has no powers, teamed up with Black Panther because he's empowered by Bast, and Khonshu's like, Bast, oh man.
Leave it to a woman to get the job done, am I right?
Which is really funny because, you know, cats are notorious for taking out birds.
Exactly. Look, guys. Connections.
I know. So many connections. I love this.
So it wouldn't be surprising if something that is introduced in this, like maybe the gods are like, yeah, maybe we should come back. Maybe that has something to do with like something that happens in Wakanda forever.
Yeah.
But Namor's kind of sort of.
Yeah, they're like maybe Atlantis, and they're just
he toes the line all the time. Nobody wants him. I don't know why we keep on. Oh. But don't yell at me, Namor fans, which is like 2 of you. So let's not even go there.
I'm still leaning on because the MCU does like to change things up occasionally too, where they're like, hey, we're gonna take this version of the character and we're gonna flip it on its head. Like our Ant-Man is Scott Lang. Like we've never really had Hank Pym as Ant-Man, even though Hank Pym was a bad person. So. Well, but the MCU Hank Pym really isn't that bad of a person either, which is also a dramatic change.
Is he? I didn't know that.
In the comics,
comic book version, he's a oh my god.
He's so monstrous. God. Related to that, like he's like multiple times wife abusing, like alcoholic, to the point where like he shrank Janet down and like threatened to leave her super shrunk, and a cat was gonna eat her kind of bad. Like it was bad. Hank's the worst. There are 2 constants in the Marvel Comics universe. Hank's the worst, and Mr. Fantastic is unintentionally terrifying. But
not as fantastic as we would want him to be.
It's fantastically terrifying. But in the comics, also Hank Pym makes Ultron, and in our MCU version, Ultron is created by Tony Stark.
Yeah.
So there's changes. I still believe, and I'm probably wrong, that the reason Oscar Isaac isn't signed up to do more is because they can't afford Oscar Isaac, and that's written into the plot that Layla is going to be our future Moon Knight, because Khonshu wants her as his new avatar anyway, and you know, Layla is probably getting sick and tired of like Mark being the one with the superpowers, and it would be a way for them not to have to constantly, I hate to use the term tiptoe, but it would be a way for them not to have to like really be like taking a lot of the mental health concerns that are very real, dealing with Moon Knight into future situations, because they can't rely on future or on other people utilizing Moon Knight and being as respectful as the creators of the show are. So having Layla as our future Moon Knight would just be an easy way to still have the character, respect some of the heritage elements, and avoid dealing with like the problems that come with Moon Knight.
Yeah, because you know, Disney, for all of they're trying, they definitely are trying to tiptoe the line with a lot of their characters. America Chavez, anyways. So
the movie's not out yet. Maybe it's respectful.
That's not what I heard. Anyways, you know my ears be to the streets. So yeah, this episode was a very interesting one, very emotional, but very filled with information. We can definitely anticipate some sort of big showdown. I'm guessing very Clash of the Titans-esque between, you know, Khonshu and the one that Harold is following, whose name I can't remember right now.
I know, I can't remember.
Ahmet.
Yeah.
So sorry, sis.
Since the souls are falling from the sky, is the belief she's released now? Like she's up there?
She's like Rita from the Power Rangers movies, like
after 10,000
years.
Which is really funny that you use Rita as an example, because Oscar Isaac played a version of Apocalypse that people compared to Ivan Ooze, which is again just...
I liked Apocalypse. Leave that man alone. So just to wrap things up, we know a big battle's coming. I think we're all assuming some sort of fun Easter egg will happen at the end that will go, oh, now it all makes sense.
Yes.
So before we say our goodbyes, I want to know, how do you think this will end? Danielle, how does this end? How does this end for you? Mm.
Okay, well, one, I want to figure out why Harrow has glass in his shoes. I hope we like get to that. Does anyone
like, are they still there?
He's got a Jesus complex.
Is that what it is? Like,
yeah, we feel like it might be related to the Lord Jesus.
Okay, that was like the first scene of the whole thing, and we like never really. I hope we just get.
He's the best. He's the best kind of villain. He's a lawful good villain. He thinks he's doing the right thing.
Yeah, those are really interesting, to be honest. Like, I'm very interested. But yeah, I think it's going to be a huge showdown. I think we're going to find out that Mark really did kill Layla'S father. She's going to be really angry about it, and yeah. I mean, everything we've talked about, it's gonna, we're gonna have some resolution, and we're all gonna feel good about it. But I'm just hoping some of my questions get answered, like the glass in the shoes. Like, what's up with that?
Joseph, how do you see this ending?
So I think Mark's quote unquote Mark has been a busy boy because it's not Mark. I'm pretty sure Jake is in control right now while these two are duking it out for survival. I kind of feel like I've already mentioned, I think Layla's gonna end up being Moon Knight by the end of it. And I'm pretty sure if anyone killed Layla's father in the body, it was Jake. Jake did it. I also am operating under the impression that Layla's father was an avatar of Amit before Harrow was. And that's part of the reason Jake went and killed him, is like, well, you can't convince him because he's a crazy cult person. So
it's hard to convince crazy cult people.
Because it's interesting to note that of the people that crawled up onto the boat, Layla's dad wasn't one of them. And it figures that if you're going to have the ones that you're guilty about, that would be like the chief among them.
That's a really good point.
Joseph, I think your scorecard is going to look real good at the end of the series.
I know.
You know, we've done this a lot. We're experts. I think that this will end like a big showdown. Jake shows up. He's going to be like, some boss, get in the car, some shit like that. And I do think that Layla will probably end up being the Moon Knight, the Sailor Moon Knight, if you will. And I know a lot of times I put a big I have big expectations for Marvel. Like, I keep wanting them to do the big thing, and I'm just gonna say it. If they don't throw in Mephisto now, and it's like
everyone's
I know
waiting.
they're saving it from, I'm pretty sure they're saving it for Multiverse of Madness, which is what I heard. But come on,
I feel like they're saving it for Midnight Suns. That's who I feel they're saving
which
it
is
for.
Gonna come, like, who knows? But like, come on, give me a little something for the people.
Do you think that Harrow's gonna be destroyed? Like, his character is gonna die? Or
absolutely, Ethan Hawke.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah. If someone else is expensive, it's Ethan Hawke, and we ain't got it.
Well, and what's her face? Like Catherine Hahn it was Catherine Hahn, right? Who played Agatha Harkness.
Yes.
She was like instantly charismatic, and everyone loved her. People like Harrow, but not like they did Agatha. Not like they do John what's his nuts, Captain Fake America.
Stu Kid.
Yeah, Stu Kid. That's it. Harrow's a likable. It's true, because he also looks like his dad.
He does. I don't like that guy at all. Like, at all.
No one likes Stu Kid. No one likes.
But he's really good at being that kind of kind of character.
Yes, absolutely.
You want a character that you can just constantly punch in the face, and that's him.
That is
absolutely.
Him. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Harrow's likable, but not likable enough that you just want more Harrow. That's Agatha. And then of course, He Who Remains is coming back. Jonathan Majors, I think is his last name.
Jonathan Spicy Majors.
Because he's going to be in the next Ant-Man movie, and if they're angling it correctly, he's going to be a constant threat in future Marvel stuff if they keep him around. Because Kang is terrifying.
Kang's coming, y'all. So yeah, that concludes our episode of episode 5, and the final episode is next week. So make sure you guys got your scorecards out. See, looks like Joseph has been pretty consistent this whole season, if I'm not mistaken.
I'll claim a capital L if I'm not right about Layla, though.
So this is the part where you guys get to shamelessly plug whatever you want. Danielle, you're from the Gamehers. Tell us everything you want us to know.
Oh my gosh, this is fun. So yeah, the Gamers has professional boot camp this weekend. It's a time where you get to learn, if you're trying to break into the gaming industry, learn from industry experts about like how to do it, some tips, some tricks, and then potentially get a mentor that can help guide you along your gaming career. So if like you're really into game design or voice acting or I don't know, motion capture, you want to be the guy in the green suit with the dots, come to, the boot camp. We can get you paired up with someone and help you out.
Ooh, that sounds like fun stuff.
Yeah.
Joseph, it's your turn. Shamelessly plug whatever you got going on, and don't forget the most important thing.
Of course, of course. I'm gonna start with I'm on LinkedIn, where you can find me with it. You can just I'm just me, just Joseph Davis on LinkedIn. You can find me on Twitter, where I'm at the Spice Must Joe. That's where I deliver my room temperature takes on things. And then you can also find me occasionally on Fandom Spotlight, where I write stuff when I'm not dealing with other crap in my life. Fun things, articles or reviews or whatever captures the imagination. You can also find me on Mondays on the Rollmongers podcast, where I'm playing Pathfinder 2nd Edition, the Abomination Vaults, and probably some other stuff in the future. Who knows? Because I'm enjoying streaming some tabletop RPGs. If you come find me on Twitter, I will talk about tabletop RPGs all day. That's my thing. It's my shtick.
So, guys,
I'm currently reading the Marvel superhero RPG, so just throwing that out there.
Stuff might be happening, y'all. You never know. And of course, I'm Yali. I'm here at Fandom Spotlight as the social media manager, content curator. Sometimes I moderate over here. Sometimes I test how spicy I can be on these things. So far, I haven't gotten in trouble. I'm also a senior contributor and writer over at Crunchyroll, where I write about dating, which has, if you're reading that, if you see how bad that's going, and I talk about parenting, and I talk about all kinds of anime things. I'm also actually over at the Gamers too. I work over there, and I do some social media stuff. So sometimes if you message on Twitter, I'm the person talking back to you. And make sure you guys check back in on. I think Walking Dead is on a break, but usually that's on Mondays, and on Wednesdays we have VCR Redo with Chris and Ian, who are a hoot, and also on Wednesdays is the latest episode of DB4L, which is Dragon Ball for Life podcast, starring Maddie Ice and Troll Tool Trav and super producer Mikey. So make sure you check that out. And then on Thursdays is when we will have our finale of Moon Knight. And as always, check us out on YouTube. I don't think we have a LinkedIn. Joseph, you might be in charge of that now. We have a TikTok, we have Twitter, we have Instagram, we got Twitch, we got a website. So check all that stuff out. And as always, remember to follow your fandom, and we'll see you here next time. Bye bye.
Thank you.